Earlier in the course, you learned about the Domain Name System, or DNS. This is what allows someone to type in a Uniform Resource Locator, or a URL, into the address bar of a browser in order to reach a website, instead of having to know the IP address of the web server the site is hosted on. DNS servers on the internet are contacted until one knows the IP address of the web server that's associated with the domain name. When you want to have your own custom domain name for your website and have that domain name available on the World Wide Web, you need to purchase it from a domain name registrar. First of all, a little clarification. You don't actually purchase a domain name. You actually just pay to reserve that domain name for a period of time, and that's typically from 1 year to 10 years. You do that by paying a domain name registrar for that reservation. A domain name registrar is a company that manages domain name registrations. Registrars actually just provide those services on behalf of a domain name registry. A registry is an organization that manages the top-level domains, like .com and .net. When you purchase a domain name, or rather the reservation of a domain name, from a domain name registrar like GoDaddy, they notify the registry that you've reserved that domain name, and the registrar pays a fee to the registry. That's all factored into your price, though. So domain name registrars provide the registration service to the public. Because domain names are reserved for a period of time, the domain name registrar will notify you when your lease is up, and you can pay them to renew it for another term. The registrar usually provides DNS services too, so you can associate your domain name with the IP address of a web server that your site is hosted on. But that's not always the case, and you don't have to use them to manage your DNS records. And the domain name registrar may also be your hosting provider, but they don't have to be. Web hosting provider and domain name registrar are different roles, although they may be provided by the same company. When the roles are provided by the same company, sometimes the cost of a domain name is just packaged in with other services, like your web hosting fees. When you register a domain name, you have your contact information recorded in a publicly available database. The protocol used to query the database is called Whois, and it's available from many sites on the web. But you can usually pay your registrar for privacy services, so the registrar's name is the one that comes up from a public search. Once you reserve a domain name, you can also transfer it to another domain name registrar. Why would you want to do that? Maybe you want to change web hosting providers, and you no longer want them to manage your domain name or its renewal. Or you just want to manage all your domain names under the same interface with the same registrar. Either way, the system is set up so there is a standard process for transferring a domain name. The reason all this works is that the whole domain name system is supervised by ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. ICANN operates the root domain name servers on the Internet, and they're responsible for developing policy and introducing new top-level domains. Registrars pay an administration fee to ICANN for each domain name registration. So when you're paying for a domain name, now you know that the domain name registrar has to pay the registry and ICANN in order for you to be the only person on the World Wide Web that can use that domain name. Now let's see the process of purchasing a domain name and configuring DNS to use that domain name with a website.